Hey everybody, today I'm going to be revisiting my Factory Entertainment Inigo Montoya sword. I've done already a unboxing slash review, but I think I'm actually going to try to upgrade a few things, namely the blade. The blade is fine. I worried when I saw it on the promos that the blade looked a little stubby, a little shorter, and upon unboxing I decided it wasn't as bad as it looked in photos, but the more I think about it, the more a 31-inch blade, give or take, is actually not sufficient. Most Spanish rapiers apparently are 37 to 42 inches traditionally. So I have gone online. Oh, not to mention this is a stainless steel blade that is not meant for anything except show. It can bend, it can chip, it can do horrible things if you do anything with it besides hanging it on a wall. Of course, the hilt is not any better. But I am going to work to install a Chen blade, model 2255, that I was able to find on Amazon. It is a 37-inch blade. It is the Schlager style, meaning it looks like a legit one. But this one is actually what they call a practical blade. It's for sparring and actual fencing. It actually is carbon steel, not stainless steel. You can stab things with it. It will spring back into its original shape. Not that I plan on stabbing a lot of things, but if I need somebody to guide my sword and jab it into a tree post, this will stand up to that kind of wear and tear much more easily than the default stainless blade. Of course, the drawback for this is that the pommel is screwed on with different thread pitches. One option is to drill and thread the base of the pommel for this one, which, since this is a smaller hole and smaller threading, is certainly an option. The other option is, of course, to cut off the rat tail and weld on the same threading, which is actually what I'm inclined to do, because it'd be nice if I ever need to return it to its original condition for sale or trade, or even just to keep my kids from wanting to play with it by giving it the delicate one. Yeah, I could throw it back on, so I'm more likely to cut this short. It is more narrow. This one's about a 1 inch. This one I don't think is 3/4. It might be 7/8. So you're going to get a narrower blade, but a quite a bit longer blade that I think is going to look a lot more swift and elegant than this wide, fat, clunky one. So it's just my idea. Overall, throwing another $75 blade on top of a $400 purchase to make it look good is certainly something that should tick off a lot of people that shouldn't need to do that. But let's say I think the overall improvement in the look and durability of it all is going to be worth it in the end, so I'm doing it. So started work on the Chen blade. First thing I had to do, I don't want to modify the original sword at all. Again, I want to, be able to revert it back to its factory form without any modifications. So the main thing I'm going to do is be modifying the blade itself, using my handy dandy angle grinder with a flap disc to round off some edges and a cutting wheel to remove the incorrect threaded bit. I've already chopped that off and cut out a little gap. I've rounded off these edges so that it fits more smoothly into the handle. There is a tiny issue I've got to resolve. The corners here are just like barely fractions of millimeters. Ironic, I know. From fitting through the top level here. I have no doubt they'll fit into the bottom one, but I don't know. I don't want to do it. I may need to just take out a tiny corner of this so that this section can slide in. The main thing, though, is identifying the correct thread, the pommel on the factory sword. So I have a 1032 bolt that I'm going to put on the replacement blade. That way I can use the factory pommel without any modifications to the original pommel. The main thing with these is it's coated in zinc. It's a very small weld. So I think if I just grind off the zinc, the little zinc left over on the bottom isn't going to be an issue. So if you end up with a stainless screw as your base, and this is a high carbon steel, you're really going to have to find some 309 MIG wire or stick rod, whichever method of welding you're doing, to be able to mix those. Just a zinc coated steel bolt is all I got here. So that should be easy. I'll just grind past the zinc, square it up, and I'm going to use a MIG welder, a small MIG welder just to bzz, bzz into place, grind it. Hopefully I'll get a good weld on that, and then that'll be ready to go. And looking at the original blade, I see it was just tapered to a smaller point there with the rat tail threading. So I am going to grind this into a similar sort of wedge shape, get rid of that step, same way as I did on the right side. So that's one thing that I hope is going to be resolving all the fitment of the handle issues. I got this into the hilt already. I did need to widen it out just a tick. I don't know if you can tell. Hopefully you can't tell, because that means that the modification was indeed as small as I think it is. There's the glare catches it. So I went in with a Dremel and just made that a little wider to account for the wider actual carbon steel blade. But yeah, so now I gotta address the handle fitment. So the handle definitely fits now. The hilt definitely fits now. And I've got my little notch in my cleaned up 1032 screw. So I just need to, weld that on. Probably have to do that in the morning. Don't have my welder here at my house. In any case, it's very similar, as you see now, in shape to the original. The original is even a bit looser, more loose. This one's a little thicker, and that's okay. As far as one note about fitting it through your hilt, it sort of occurred to me too late in the game, but these nice clean edges here on your new blade, grind those down. Cut this whole thing down. That's the part that's covered up by the leather wrap. You can actually modify this heavily to fit inside your hilt without modifying your hilt. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But in any case, the hilt modification is so subtle, I'm not too worried about it. Like I say, it looks pretty factory. Any flaws you see here, I assure you, are from the factory. They were not good welds originally. But anyways, ready to weld, and then we'll slap this sucker together. And I think we'll be all done and having a much improved blade. So here, just using a small welder, super small, I've gone and welded on my 1032. Please, no comments about quality of the weld. I'm aware that I am not a professional welder. It was actually quite a bit uglier. A little cleanup, again, with the grinder. Got it as good as it is now. Well, more layers and more grinding, more layers, more grinding. Got everything nice and warm, hopefully not hot enough to mess up the temper. It was still pretty cool to the touch around here in the blade. So the only thing I'm really worried about is when I tighten the pommel, is the whole thing snapping and ripping off. Knock on wood, we won't have to worry about that, because it seems on there pretty good right now. And let's go ahead and slap it all together, install it on the sword. There we go. Everything is screwed on. It fit the pommel, fit like a glove. Everything feels pretty sturdy. And see, we got a lot of extra length on that sword now. I think to get a better feel for the length and how much better it looks with it, kind of almost got to get it vertical or in somebody's hand. I can't film myself swashbuckling with it though. But here it is next to the original blade, and you can see where the pommel was originally versus where it is now. And you can see that this loses absolutely nothing with the thinner overall blade, but longer. Alright, hard to find a good light in this house somehow. But for me, this mod is absolutely worth every bit of the effort and every bit of the $75 extra to get yourself a practical blade. And overall, it just looks better. I mean, I'm really happy with it. I think the narrower blade gives it a sleeker look. The extra length makes it far more believable that somebody would actually be fencing with it. And just really pleased with it. Hopefully the info in this video is useful to somebody else if you're going to mod your own swords up, or even just take these ideas and use them somewhere else in your props. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.